they come up short, right? Someone's spouse is always better than yours. It's just the nature of the beast. You don't live with that other person, so you really don't know what they're like. But it sure seems like that family has it all together. So we really have to be careful about comparison when we're engaged in conflict resolution. Don't use absolute accusations. You never or you always. This is one of the things that I have to be careful about when talking to the kids, or I hear this from the kids a lot. I don't have any friends. Well, really? I mean, you have zero? I mean, no one would even talk to you? Well, no, okay. I have one or two friends. But if you allow yourself to go there, then it sets up, you never tell me you love me. And if you allow yourself to go to these absolute extremes, then there's nothing left for you, right? If you already are at one of the extremes, there's no ability to work through that issue if you allow your mind to go there. And the thing is, it's really almost never true. It's almost never true that there's always or never something going on in your marriage. Number 3, don't make the bedroom a battleground. Never use sex to punish or fight with your spouse. Sex is intended for intimacy in your marriage, not as a weapon to take advantage of or to punish one or the other. It just doesn't need to be there. Don't threaten each other with divorce or leaving. Don't hold it over their heads as a weapon to get your way. You are in a covenant relationship. The other sort of threat of not only leaving is just, you'd be better off without me. Talk like that, where it puts the other person in a situation where they have to do what you want in order to appease you so that you won't do something stupid or you won't divorce me or, and that's a weapon that's just, it's wrong thinking about your marriage. We talked about that at week number 1, that we're called to a covenant relationship that just can't, in our minds, we cannot break that relationship. And if you know that and you're secure in that, then when you start dealing with conflict and you have issues arise in your marriage, if you know for certain the marriage is going to be intact, that gives you a framework to work on it and to settle it and to solve that, have a resolution. So you really have to take that off of the table and not threaten leaving. On number 5, don't change the subject or bring up other issues. Stick with the one you are on and come to a resolution. If you've got multiple ones, you may want to do them, maybe 1 week, let some time pass, do another conflict, bring up another subject. It's probably not a good idea, certainly within the same setting, but even, every night, bring up another difficult topic. Give it some time, work on your relationship, and then bring up other issues as you need to. On number 6, don't interrupt. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. Give the other a chance to finish what they are saying. And I'm going to teach you this speaker-listener technique. So when we're done with this here in just a second, we're going to kind of walk through how you would use this technique. Interruption is a real interesting thing. I seem to think it's a good thing to help Tanya finish her sentences. And it turns out that's not a really smart thing to do. I think I'm just helping her formulate her thoughts as she's talking, but you know what? It's just interruption. And if your spouse is never able to finish that thought or to express it the way they want to express it, right? You may understand what they mean, and you may be able to just, let's cut to the chase and let's just finish your sentence and be done with it. I understand. But that's not the point. The point is for your spouse to be able to express it in the way they want to, so that you will understand not just the issue, but their feelings behind the issue, right? We talked about that just in the way men and women communicate different. And so interruption is really, really bad. And I'm still working on that. And I'm sure Tanya would like me to figure that out sooner rather than later. But what's nice is this speaker-listener technique kind of helps set that stage, because you actually have something in your hand with the person who gets to talk. So if it's not in your hand, you don't get to say anything.
How long have you and Tanya been married?
20 years.
Okay, I still got that.
Yeah. So you're still working on yours?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Very good. On number 7, don't count victories. It's not a game to see who can win the most battles. Sometimes you are wrong. There'll be times where you don't make sense in what you're trying to argue. And there's a lot of people who will just fight till the bitter end, even though they know they're wrong, and then it becomes a pride issue. It's like, okay, I just can't lose this argument because I'm so invested in it that if I lose, I'm gonna get egg on my face or whatever, right? And you know what? It's time to cut your losses when you know you're wrong and say, okay, I wasn't thinking about this right, sorry, and move on. There are times we're just wrong. There's no one of us is going to be right on every issue. The whole chicken. That's right. On number 8, don't become a battlefield psychologist. Don't try to fix a character flaw while in the midst of a conflict. This is better left to God to fix anyway. It's not the time when you're working on the issue to start saying, you know what, you need to be more involved in the kids and you would know what's going on. Or, you know what, you never really have to deal with cooking and dealing with the house, so how could you know why this is a big issue, right? That's probably not the type of arguments that need to be brought up, because that's attacking the person's character. It's attacking what they do. That's not really solving the issue. And so we don't need to spend that time fixing the character flaw. Number 9, don't bring up past conflicts. Even some of the same conflicts have different circumstances that need to be addressed in the here and now. Just because the right solution was right 5 years ago doesn't mean it's the same solution today. As the kids grow, it becomes real obvious. The way we handled conflict, when they were 4 and 5 years old is really very different than dealing with a 15-year-old. And, part of me wants to say, well, we dealt with this years ago, right? We talked about this and we had a resolution, and now you want to change things. Well, it's different. The circumstances are different. You just have to deal with that conflict as the circumstances present themselves. On number 10, don't retreat or quit before the resolution. You may choose to resume it, but don't leave the issue hanging with no resolution. No ending a discussion with whatever, or, oh, you just don't understand. That's not to say if you run out of time to say, okay, let's talk about this again tomorrow. It's not picking a different time, but it's just never coming back to or visiting the issue. It can seem to be resolved, but sure enough, if it's left hanging, something could trigger it, and it could be right back in the middle of things.
Do you think it's bad to saying, let's just agree to disagree?
It
really doesn't solve it.
It doesn't solve it.
It stops it,
I would say there probably are a group of conflicts that probably fall more like preferences. If it's more of a preference, then to me that may be an okay way to resolve it. Okay, we just disagree on, where to eat or what types of foods to eat, maybe more of a preference versus how you're spending your money. And if you don't have enough money for food, right, and just say, well, we just disagree on this, right? Nothing really got resolved. So, yeah, I think we may tend to just not want to deal with the conflict, and so we pick that approach of let's just agree to disagree on some issues that probably need to come to a resolution. But
You may have a difference of opinion of political deals or something like that. That's going to just, I mean, you're not going to change her mind, and I'm not
Right.
going to change my mind on something like that. So it's just, you're going to have to agree to disagree.
yeah, well, and agree to a resolution. I mean, maybe it's, investing for your retirement, right? Pretty serious issue. And you may disagree on how that's best handled or what you should do, but that you can still come to some resolution that gets implemented. And just saying, well, we're just going to disagree, but you still got to make a decision at some point. And in that case, if through praying about it, if you come to a resolution, and you may both not like it, or you may say, let's try it this way for 6 months or a year and see how it works, and then if it doesn't, we'll try it again. We'll do something different. We've actually done that a couple different times on major issues. It's like, we both disagree, but let's just try this, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We'll do it differently in the future or so, something like that.
Do you think things like that kind of fall under the husband as the head of the household?
Yeah, I do. When it comes,
Without taking advantage of that.
that's right,
role.
that's right. I mean, because at some point, there's the hierarchy. Somebody has to be responsible for the decision. It's not that they always make the right decision, it's the responsibility falls upon, and in this case, in a marriage, it would be the husband. And so that's where more of a kind of a godly leadership comes into play, and just they would take the leadership and say, okay, I hear you, you've voiced your opinion, we've had a discussion, we've got to make some sort of decision and prayerfully make that decision, and then maybe set a time to revisit it and see how it has worked out, if that's really the way the Lord had led you. So, okay. There's a couple of websites here on just some different articles, just dealing with conflicts in marriage. Okay, if you look at your tile, this is one per family, so you get to take this home with you. And this is what they call the speaker-listener technique, or some people call it the floor, like you have the floor. And it's a technique to enable discussion about any type of topic. The way that it's implemented is really set up for like when you're really arguing and it kind of escalates to a yelling match and both people